It's two guys in rocking chairs talking the Rose Bowl. Clayton Sayfie from the Wolverine. We found a really nice spot down here.
It's classy
at the old Media Hotel. It's very Instagrammable. We've got the old Rose Bowl poster. We got some roses, and this is.
I may steal a rose.
Don't do it. You have to earn the rose.
True.
You have to win your way to the rose.
I can't do that. I'm a media member.
That's true. That is true. Well, we are recording this, and it is going into the cloud, so our producer can put it into the show. So. Fortunately, you guys don't play for Alabama, so you can watch this anywhere. You don't have to go to the Alabama facility or Alabama's team hotel to watch this. Clayton, that was the blow up.
Yeah, someone cracked.
Mini blow up. Yeah, Isaiah Bond cracked. Talked about some of the precautions they're taking, and you've been covering this sign stealing situation all season. You've seen it with other teams too. Is it interesting to you how different teams have handled this information?
Yeah, and a lot of them, they don't go into a lot of detail. And I think, again, Isaiah Bond probably
wasn't supposed to.
Right, he said too much. But, that happens sometimes. I don't blame him, obviously. But, yeah, a lot of these teams have really just more talked about the signs and how they're mixing things up. And Nick Savin talked about that, I think, a week or two ago when he met with the media down in Tuscaloosa. But how they're going to, they do that typically. He said it's no big deal, whatever. Well, it sounds like they're not watching film individually. They have to watch them in groups at the facility. And then Tommy Reese got asked about it. No one really else wanted to comment. But
yeah. Now, what I would assume with this is it's the proprietary stuff, like your own practice video, that sort of thing. I would think if they want to watch Michigan's defense, they can do that as much
Michigan
as
has that film.
Everybody has that. Yeah. Exactly. But keeping stuff out of the cloud. And look, in this day and age, it's interesting to me because you think about how much information, and until all of this blew up, I never thought about that, how much information each college football program puts into the cloud in general.
Right. It's crazy. And you hear about Catapult as kind of that system that everybody uses. And then, there are rumors and Twitter accounts saying, well, this team has this they got their film off of Catapult and they hacked it. Who knows what's real or what's not. But
the videos of these interviews that were done here today, if we media members want to access them, we go through Catapult.
Everything runs through Catapult.
Yeah, and that's also the system where they have the wearables that tell you how fast the people are on the GPS data and all that. So if you wanted to get paranoid about it, you could get very, very paranoid about this stuff.
Right. You could. And I think, Nick Saban's a guy who, is ultra competitive, wants to get an edge any way he can, wants to protect the edges they may have in any way. And Jim Harbaugh is kind of the same way. So, it doesn't surprise me necessarily. It's just something I didn't really think about coming down.
I just didn't think an Alabama player would crack. That's really the part that more amusing than anything else, because they are very controlled in what they say. Michigan's the same way. You didn't expect, you came into this expecting everybody to just coach speak, give 110% one play at a time. And got a little juice.
Do you remember the Quinn and Williams when he almost said that? What did he say? Something about Kyler Murray, but
yes,
he doesn't think he's all that.
I was standing there,
and then he just stopped.
He froze. It was like someone zapped him from remote.
It's still one
from
of my
the
favorite.
Cloud.
It's one of my favorite moments.
It was that was the Orange Bowl after the 2018 season, and I remember that.
Have you gone up against any quarterback that slightly resembles Kyler Murray?
No, I don't feel like I have going against a quarterback slightly resembling Kyler Murray, but I feel like Kyler Murray is not where about.
What's that?
No, I'm good.
It was like someone had zapped him with an electric shock. Like
Savin.
Oh, yeah. Well, Savin not actually pressing the button,
right?
Though he probably he has the button that closes the door in the office. I'm pretty sure he has the zapping button and probably a trap door somewhere.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, this is much more fun than I thought this interview session was going to be. But the Michigan players, I did enjoy, not with you. I knew that was going to be fun.
Oh, I thought, okay.
Yeah, but the Michigan players got into detail on the beat Georgia drill, which is called now, it was called for a minute. It's the beat Ohio drill. Mm-hmm. It's the beat Bama drill, I guess they're calling it now. But it's basically the inside run drill they do, and it's kind of taken on these mythical proportions. But it was fun hearing them talk about it, because as somebody who's been through some of those inside 7-on-7 drills, it is the nastiest portion of any football practice.
Yeah. And I think beat Ohio is the 9-on-7. So you have all the run fits. If you're in the run game, it's a stacked box and basically trying to do that. And then I think the beat Georgia drill, now beat Bama drill, is something very similar. Loud music playing, those guys getting it going. I will say, I think, and we can talk about it too, obviously, but one of the things that Michigan may be challenged with in this game is more the speed of Alabama rather than, and then obviously Alabama's got the size and the physicality. They've got all that too, that to match that maybe, and then some against Michigan. But the speed is something that came up a lot with a lot of these Michigan guys too. And, they're confident in their ability, I think, but it's definitely going to be something that plays a part in this game.
Well, I think it's what people get confused about with the whole idea of SEC speed. Like, the skill position players everywhere are fast. Like the skill position players in the Big Ten, the SEC, the ACC, the Pac-12, the Big 12, they're all fast.
Right.
It's when you get the giant linemen who move very fast too. That said,
your guy, Kenneth Grant.
That's right. The fastest lineman in this game, the fastest 300-pounder in this game, plays for Michigan.
Yeah. Kenneth Grant. And I forget who said it earlier or today. Well, it was Jesse Minter, and he wasn't here a few years ago when Michigan played Alabama. And you and I talked about this a week or two ago. But the one position or one area Michigan has grown in since these two teams played in the Citrus Bowl to kick off 2020 is the defensive line, and particularly having the type of athletes, maybe not as many as a Georgia or Alabama, but having some of those types of athletes. And Kenneth Grant's one of them. Chris Jenkins, I think, could hang in that category. Mason Graham, who we talked to today, is right up there and much tougher, faster, more physical, and has better technique than maybe you would guess, but just watching him walk around. But Michigan has those types of guys. It's just, are they going to match up with the speed? Are they going to be able to, maybe break tendency a little bit and catch them off guard?
You know what else I recommend? Game Time. Download that Game Time app. Use your promo code STAPLES. Get $20 off your first purchase. The easiest, most effective, least stressful way to get last-minute tickets. Do you want to go to the Rose Bowl? You can go to the Rose Bowl. Just type Rose Bowl into Game Time. All the tickets that are available will come up. There'll be a picture of the stadium. You click it. It'll show you exactly what the vantage point would be from the seat that you would be buying. Want to go to some of these other, but want to see Nico Iamaleava make his starting debut for Tennessee in the Citrus Bowl? You could do that. Head to Orlando. I imagine some last-minute tickets are going to get bought for that game with Nico starting in it. They got flash deals. They got zone deals. Game Time has it all. So download the app, use the code STAPLES, and get $20 off your first purchase with Game Time. I think both of these teams have very well-equipped defensive lines. They've got a bunch of future NFL players on their defensive line. I think both offensive lines are the area of concern because you saw it with Alabama, especially early in the season, where they were very susceptible on the edges. If you had a good edge rusher, you could get home. Now, they've changed their play calling a little bit to let Jalen Milroe move around a little more because he was walking himself into sacks at times. But Michigan, late season, they'll go to the Penn State game where they basically abandoned the pass because they were struggling to protect.
Yeah, and now you're down Zach Zinter, too. So it was the guy, Carson Barnhart, who was struggling at right tackles. Now you're right guard. Trente Jones likely, again, he started in the Iowa game, likely to start at right tackle. So it's something, I've watched a lot of Alabama over the last few weeks. And, I mean, Dallas Turner, Chris Braswell, 92, can't pronounce his name at the time, Aboigbe.
You got it?
They're as good as it gets. Dallas Turner, Todd McShay was saying he's his number one defensive prospect right now. And then you have the corners too. So Alabama may be able to commit more towards the run. So Michigan has not run blocked all that well, especially getting to the second level this season. It's something you wouldn't expect. It's been more the pass. It's been more running when they've needed to. Short yardage, they're fantastic. But overall, from a down-to-down basis, it's not been the run game that it has been the last 2 years. So now with Zinter out and facing probably the best front you faced this year, I mean, Penn State probably up there, but I would take this one from Alabama, especially the guys on the line of scrimmage. It's going to be a big challenge for the Michigan offensive line. At the same time, Michigan's got waves of guys that'll rotate in on the D line and try to give these guys fits. But I watched some Alabama early on, Caden Proctor with some issues, but lately he's been much better. Yeah. Lately, the entire offense line has been much better. I know you've pointed out the way they've schemed that up with
they're helping a lot more with Caden Proctor. Although you go back to the Georgia game, he doesn't need as much help as he did because Tommy Rees talked today, the Alabama offensive coordinator. He said for Caden Proctor, the light came on kind of after the Arkansas game, and that game was a nightmare for him. He was just whipped, time and time again. And, Arkansas had a 6'7", 290-pound edge rusher who was just, being a grown man basically against a freshman.
Right. 18-year-old.
And even if you're, even when you're 340 pounds at 18, that's right, he's 360. You're still 18. You're still 18.
For sure. And there was a play, 11 from Georgia, Walker, gets past him, and I know they blitz, so it's kind of might even be the identifying what's coming and all that. That could be an issue. And I think Michigan, with the way they line up their edges pretty wide, will be a different look that he's going to have to face. When you're bigger, I mean, it's easier to kind of swallow guys up like that, but you also may not move as fast. So I think that's something, Michigan, again, we were talking to J.C. Latham over there about, how many edge guys Michigan's going to rotate in. So you're facing a different guy every play. Michigan probably try to keep them off guard with a lot of the twists they use, a lot of the stunts. So, I mean, the O-lines in this game could determine, who wins.
Well, I'm going to break tendency because I don't want to say that the O-line determines everything.
True.
But for Michigan, I do think J.J. McCarthy, his mobility is going to matter. And I know he's looked somewhat limited at the end of the season. It looked like he had something going on with a knee. But he's now had a month off.
Yeah.
And a healthy J.J. McCarthy, I feel like, is a very different quarterback because he is capable of moving around. He's capable of making some of those mistakes go away.
He is. And, you saw that in the beginning of the year. And then, they would kind of dial back a lot of the design run stuff, to try to keep him upright, keep him clean, not use it when they don't have to. And I think that could play a part in this game too, not just his ability to extend the plays and throw it downfield. Honestly, too, some of his better plays have been when there's a breakdown in offensive line protection.
Jalen Milroe too.
Jalen Milroe too. Absolutely. So then, but going back to the design run thing, watching that Auburn game against Alabama and what Auburn did, Hugh Freeze, give him a ton of credit for what they did with their offensive game plan. They complete 6 passes in that game from the quarterback.
Michigan fans familiar with Peyton Thorne, former Michigan State quarterback.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you wouldn't think that would be some sort of blueprint that they're looking at going into a college football playoff. Michigan's got to do a bunch of other stuff. They also got to stick with what they do. But I think they can do some of what Auburn did in the design run game for J.J. McCarthy. They've held it back all year. You'd see it a couple times here and there, but this is a time where you break it out. Last year, they didn't do that against TCU until the second half. And it worked. It's a big regret, and it worked really well against that defense. You gotta use that. I think this game's also going to come down to a lot of third and shorts, third and mediums for Michigan, and whether or not you can stay on the field, because Alabama's going to stay on the field with Milroe probably. But then again, it's a key for them too. So it's another cliche, third down, red zone, but there's so much that goes into it.
But that's the thing. I mean, these are two really good teams. The talent is pretty close. I mean, it comes down to the cliche stuff, whether we like it or not. It really does come down to, can you convert your third and shorts? Can you stay out of bad down and distances? I mean, that's the thing that Alabama struggled with early in the season. Is we talked about whether it was the line play or even Milroe, and a lot of it, like hearing the Alabama reporters ask Tommy Rees the questions today, because they don't get to talk to him all year. And so hearing him talk about the evolution of the play calling,
he's done a great job.
It is really different than the beginning of the season.
It is. And again, like obviously some people watching, Alabama fans and you and whatever, have watched more than me, but kind of going through their games and watching 4 or 5 full games throughout the year, what they've done to build this offense around Jalen Milroe has been super impressive. And one thing I noticed, especially late in the year, is when the game's on the line, when a drive is on the line, in those third down, red zone situations, they're putting the ball in number 4's hands.
Yeah.
So Michigan's got to know that. And, a lot of running quarterbacks, that's the case, where you kind of know a draw is coming at certain points, but sometimes it's frustrating because you can't stop it because you got to cover everybody else too. So it's going to come down to, I think, what quarterback plays better too. I mean, again, that's another cliche. But
it's interesting because I think the average person is looking at these matchups and going, oh, the Quinn Ewers, Michael Penix Jr. matchup is the quarterback matchup that we really want to see. This, in Alabama and Michigan, it's the trenches. Listen, these are two of the swaggiest quarterbacks you will ever meet, Jalen Milroe and J.J. McCarthy. Like, I would like to hear them just talk to each other for about 30 minutes, because I bet they would have a fascinating conversation.
Great personalities.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the first time I've, got to listen to Jalen Milroe in person and everything, and see him walk in the room. And, he definitely has the swag there. JJ, is kind of that confident and like super nice, but he's got that
There's
kind
an
of
edge to
warrior.
JJ. You can definitely see that when he talks. And I think I feel like that's come out more in his interviews since all of the signal stealing stuff, and because he's sort of embraced the Michigan versus everybody mentality.
He's kind of protecting, with the program. He knows Harbaugh can't say certain things, and the coaches, so the things they can say, I think JJ's been a great voice for them. And I mean, he's not a captain, but he's as big of a leader on this team as it gets, too.
Well, I cannot wait to see those two get it on Monday. And listen, that line of scrimmage is going to be so much fun, because it is. Sometimes you have a situation where one O-line is clearly better than the other, one D-line is clearly better than the other. The O-lines are both the ones you worry about in this one. The D-lines are both the ones that scare you in this one.
Right.
I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
It is. I'm excited. We got a couple more days of coverage here, but it is going to be insanely fun on Monday.
Clayton Sayfie, not afraid to put this in the cloud. You can watch it anywhere you want. Thank you so much for watching. Just a reminder, subscribe to this channel right here so you never miss an episode of Andy Staples on 3. And oh, by the way, watch all the other great videos on the On3 Sports YouTube channel.